Let your patriotic values guide how you invest your money and save for your future. With Monorail's Patriot Portfolio, your investment dollars get out of globalist corporations and into companies that support Christian American values. Monorail is perfect for anyone who wants to learn how to invest their money like a pro, or a conscious-minded investor that wants to put their money where their values are. Open an account today at monorail.com/Kirk. That's monorail.com/Kirk. Joining us now is Senator Markwayne Mullen from the great state of Oklahoma. Senator, you tweeted out, quote, "It's Saturday, August 2nd, and I'm still voting. I'll stay in session. We're looking at 3 options to clear the jam with POTUS." Give us the latest on what is the jam, and is the Senate going to stay in session all of August?
Well, President Trump actually did a pivot on it. He was done with it. The reason why is he got tired of negotiating with Chuck Schumer in bad faith and said, "Screw it." I'm paraphrasing that word, by the way. And late Saturday night, he said, "I'm not going to be held hostage from him. I'm not going to deal with this. We're going to work on changing the rules over August. Send everybody home except those that are going to work on it." So there's a group of us working on the rules change. When we get back in September, we're going to propose it to the conference and go straight to votes. But there was a lot that took place, and the 3 options really were one, we strike a deal. The President Trump really wanted to strike a deal because it's very complicated to get to the recess appointments. We can talk about that, so we can break that down. It gets a little wonky, but he wanted to get a deal. He thought he had a deal. We had 61 that are reported out of committee on the House or on the Senate floor ready to be voted. That was bipartisan, meaning they came out of the committee with Democrat and Republican support. He said, "Let me clear the deck on that one. We'll work with you on some other of your pet projects. And then let's work on a package that would get away from us having to confirm 1,200 people and clear the deck for 300 to 400 individuals that are really individuals we shouldn't be voting on to confirm." At first, we were told by Angus King that they would accept it. And then their price tag on that, because everything comes with the negotiating, they had $800 million in funding that was being held up by FY25 appropriations. That was part of kind of the rescission packages that was coming through. In return, let the money go through. We had tentatively said we would try doing something like that with President Trump negotiating. I mean, President Trump for 3 days, Charlie, was extremely engaged with negotiating. Talked to him multiple times. JD Vance was involved in it. Everybody was all hands on deck. They came back with another offer. President Trump didn't like it, but he said, "Well, let's negotiate." He was, as he was getting on the plane, he called me and he says, "Hey, get this deal done. Let's do it and let's move on." He says, "I got nominees that are waiting that need to get paid." And so we went to go back and negotiate. They came back 3 times, and every time they kept dropping the number and raising the price to the point where President Trump told them to go pound sand. Said, "Forget it. Go tell Schumer to pound sand. I'm not negotiating. You guys go home. Let's change the rules." So that's where we ended up.
So Senator, I'm not going to question the president's wisdom or judgment here, nor yours, but I'm gonna have to get a little bit deeper into this, and I want you to further explain it. Because look, I'm not thrilled with this, and obviously Chuck Schumer is to blame, but there's 160 nominees lingering. A term is only 4 years, and we're 7 months into this one with huge chunks of the government unstaffed. This is pure dysfunction. And Senator, understand my compassion to what you have to with this, but I think it's kind of outrageous we have to wait till September. So walk me through this on a deeper level, because waiting another 30 days to change the rules, I mean, we have very important positions that need to happen now, very important ambassadorships. Did Chuck Schumer get what he wanted here by kind of blowing it all up and by delaying? Make the case and explain further, please.
So the president right now can already put these people in position. They just can't hold the title, but they can do the job as long as the president has deemed them to do a special envoy. Like, for instance, Steve Witkoff. He can go ahead and put these people in position, but they're working essentially without pay. So if you go ahead and you do the recess appointments, like I know we've talked about, it's a much more complicated process of that, because what it takes.
That's correct. I'm not even getting into that. Yeah, I'm not even.
Okay, so you don't
that's
want
a
to
whole
chase in that
separate
rabbit
deal.
hole. The recess appointments was going to cause a lot of complications. So for us to stay in, it was going to open the floor essentially for the Democrats to constantly take these votes. Republicans were willing to do it. 100% we were willing to do it. It was going to take a vote of Rama for us to do it essentially because we was going to have to keep the floor occupied. And in the meantime, they could continue to put in these ridiculous votes that was going to make the Republicans take a vote on them. The president didn't want those votes to be taken, and so the solution is if we do go into recess, then the Democrats have a political play that they could play the entire month of August, which wouldn't move the needle at all. Since these people can already do their job, they're just going to do it without pay. By the way, if we do it underneath recess appointments, they're still going to do it without pay. If we go back and we go ahead and change the rules, what happens at that point, we can start clearing the slate rather than having to go through a recess appointment over and over again. Because remember, recess appointments mean we got to recess for a minimum of 10 days. If we can change the rules, then we continue to move forward steadily and get all these people confirmed. Now, talk real numbers. This time in 2017, we only had 55 nominations confirmed for President Trump in 2017 versus today. Right now, as we speak, we've already confirmed 136. So we're way past double what President Trump had in 17. He's happy with where we're at. We wouldn't have ever we would have never made a motion to adjourn if President Trump didn't want us to. Because I'm telling you, Charlie, he was on the phone with us almost every other hour. It was Lindsey Thune, or it was Lindsey Thune, Lindsey Graham, Leader Thune, myself, Katie Britt, Eric Schmidt, and Jim Rich was all talking with the president multiple times a day.
For sure. No, I get that. I'm not, and Senator, I'm not trying to question the wisdom of the president here. It just looks like the president just got so ticked off with Chuck Schumer, said, forget it, just threw up his hands. Like, I'm not going to negotiate with a terrorist. And I understand that.
But that's the best thing that could happen. But I'm not kidding when I say this. Charlie, yesterday.
Tell me why. Tell me why that, so make the case. No, please. I want to hear.
Yeah, because he was willing to tell Chuck Schumer to go pound sand. That's not the way normal politics works. Normal politics is negotiate, and then you get to a 50-50. President Trump had a clear stopping point. Chuck Schumer pushed him too far, and President Trump was willing to tell him, go pound sand. I'm not so desperate that I have to have these appointments. I will work around you by appointing these people as a special envoy. I'm not going to give you one single penny. And because you've done this, now you're going to force us to go change the House rules or the Senate rules. So when he comes back and says we're using the nuclear option, no, we're able to pin it on Schumer and say, no, because you have filibustered every single one of President Trump's nominees, which is unheard of. It has never been taken place. It's never happened in the history of the United States. You have forced us to make this change. So it gives President Trump all month to make the case to the American people that Chuck Schumer took the nuclear option, and now we're going to make the rule change to make the Senate work more efficient, which is honestly the best outcome. I would make the argument because we're doing the rule change, we can fix this for the long term.
Well, hold on. But so two things. What will the rule change be? And if I'm drawing on memory of some of our other conversations, doesn't the rule change require 60 votes or 67 or some goofy number?
Yeah, so it technically it used to require 67. Chuck Schumer changed it when he was in office, and Mitch McConnell actually made a speech in 2017 and said, because you did this, you have forever changed the norms of the Senate. And so Mitch McConnell was the one that warned Schumer for making the change. He did make the change, and now it put us in this situation. So now we can do 51, and we can do now we'll have to overrule the parliamentarian, which it's fine. We'll have the votes to overrule the parliamentarian. Chuck Schumer did that prior to 2017. So we will simply have to overrule the parliamentarian by a simple vote of 51, and then we can do the rule change at 51. What the rules change would be, we have several options. One, if we got to look at the tiers, so outside the president's cabinet and outside of second tier individuals and outside of judges, so those would be still set at 30-hour debates. Everybody else below that, we have two options. Easiest option is that we take the motion from a 2 hour debate down to a 15-minute debate, and we're able to stay in executive session all day. What happens right now is after every vote, we go automatically back to legislative session, and we have to go back into executive session, which requires us to have two extra votes. So every nominee takes 4 votes. Each vote will take about 35 minutes to do, plus a 2 hour debate. So you got 4 hours plus on every person. If we take away the executive calendar from the legislative calendar and have to go in and out, we can stay in it all day, and we can just simply vote to end cloture, 15-minute debate, vote. The other option on that one, and so we go from 4 votes to 2 votes. The other option on that one is to assume that the nominee that comes out of the committee to the floor would be a non-debatable, and we could move them straight to the floor and for a floor vote. That is a tougher option because that takes role change actually out into the committee too, and a lot of committee chairmen are territorial about that. But you could do it. I think the more likely option will be that we will do a similar vote, which will mean that anybody that comes out of the committee with a bipartisan vote can go straight to the floor for a vote.
Can we expect wholesale systemic changes? Because, Senator, you can agree with us. It's wrong to win an election and have a whole year pass by without 160 of your own people.
Yeah, I agree. And by the way, Charlie, one of these days I'm going to grow up and be able to explain things as easy as you can, because this stuff gets wonky. Yes, you can expect wholesale change. And what's interesting about this is we got a bunch of old guards in the Senate. And when I say old guards, I mean they protect the establishment like this, like you do this and bow down to it, like when I used to walk into
I know.
walk into a map. But anyways, my point is Mitch McConnell's the one leading the change on this. He stood up in conference, and mind you, there's a few people that still listen to Mitch really heavy. He stood up and made in conference and made the argument why we have to do this change. So yes, you're going to expect real change. Our goal is to be able to make the Senate work more efficiently. Now, to keep in mind, there's a lot of Democrats that want the change too, because they're tired of the same thing. They see what's happening with Chuck Schumer. They understand that this is, we're not always, I hope we do, but traditionally speaking, we're not always going to have a Republican president. And this is going to be pushed on them too. So they would like to have change so we can move this along. 80% of our time right now in the Senate is used on executive calendars trying to get these noms across the finish line. And that's on both sides. And listen, I wasn't a supporter of Biden at all. Neither were you. But the fact is they still need their people in place because we still need government to operate.
Yeah, I mean, well, and here's the thing. You need your people, especially if you have a Senate majority. Now, if you're not in the majority, then it's a whole different ballgame, advise and consent. But we have the majority. We won. Dave McCormick's a U.S. Senator. We won elections to be able to do this. And it is an overcompensation because, Senator, I think you would agree, this is the last question, all of these archaic, old crow ancestry rules are back when the U.S. Senate, unfortunately, your colleagues actually wanted what was best, and now they want something completely different. The Senate, it was a club built on honor, and it was built on mutual respect. I think that is gone, and the rules need to reflect the new character or lack thereof of the U.S. Senate. Final thought, Senator Markwayne Mullen.
1,000% correct, Charlie. We used to, there was decorum in the Senate that put America first. That's why the Senate is elected to 6 years, because you don't have to constantly be having to play politics back home, because politics do play a role in legislation. The Senate was supposed to be somewhat above that. But you have Chuck Schumer that is literally afraid of his own shadow right now. The fact is he knows he can't work with us because he's up for re-election, and he's afraid AOC is going to run against him and beat him in his seat, which is absolutely accurate. So therefore, it puts him in an inability to be able to negotiate. Then you have Cory Booker, who is clearly running for president in 2028. And you have Chris Murphy, who is running for president in 2028. They aren't willing to negotiate, and most of this stuff takes unanimous consent for us to be able to move forward. So the only option we have is to make these changes. And so therefore we will make these changes. But when we come back in September, I think it's September 2nd, we will immediately proceed with a package that we're going to be working on literally all month, trying to get prepared and ready to vote on the rules change so we can start moving forward. By the way, the president is, I can't express this enough, Charlie, how much he's involved in this. He's put a team on it that's working with us.
And I'm not questioning any of those decisions or wisdom. I'm expressing skepticism that we're going to be able to get systemic change. So I need you guys to keep the pressure on. And forget the Democrats. We won we keep on having these deadlines. But my goodness, man, by the one-year election of Donald Trump's victory in November, if we don't have that 160 number to be zero, you will have a stolen presidency via personnel. The last thing I'll say, Senator, is I know.
Let me address that real quick.
I know that. Really quick,
we can't
30
get
seconds.
to zero. Yeah, we can't get to zero because we're constantly confirming more people. They're constantly sending people over to us. So we have 150 that we're waiting on paperwork to be sent back to us from the White House, plus 160 that we have. So this is going to be an ongoing process, but we should have the backlog caught up.
Fine. Yes. Yeah. Right. So how about anyone that was submitted in January should be done in the next couple, like the next 30 to 60 days, right? Someone that had their nomination form signed by the President of the United States on January 26th. Come on, we got to get through that. Yep. Senator, thank you so much. And our eyes are watching the Senate. We know it's not easy right now. Thank you.